welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye and I post beginning level acrylic painting tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So make sure to hit subscribe so you can join the fun and paint along. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Alright, this week we are well into spring and it is gorgeous. Things are blooming, the flowers are blooming, the birds are singing. And I wanted to celebrate with a spring themed painting today with an adorable little bluebird who is welcoming the sunrise. And it's called the Early Bird. We're going to use our 4 standard brushes that I use in most of my classes. This is a kit that comes in 4 sizes. Your brushes don't have to be the exact same, but they should be the relative same size and shapes. So I have a 1-inch wash brush. Excuse me, this is actually a 3/4 inch wash brush. 1-inch brush works too. And then I have 3 pointed brushes, and these are a size 10, a size 3, and a size 3/0. These 4 come in a kit. I recommend the kit below. You can also find a materials link to a page on my website that'll show you everything you need. And then I have also listed the colors that you need for today's painting in the description box. And then I've also pinned that materials page to the comments section, so check that out. Let's go ahead and jump in with our background step. The colors that I have for today's background step, I have some white, a little bit of cadmium yellow, a little bit of cadmium orange and cadmium red, some violet, aka purple, and a beautiful cobalt blue. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to grab my medium-sized brush first, and we are going to create our sun as our first step. So I'm gonna mix up a beautiful sunny yellow with yellow and just a little bit of white. And I'm going to just create a circle here in the upper right-hand corner. And then I'm just gonna fill it in really quick with yellow too. Okay, and then that is our center point for all of the colors that we're going to add now, coming from the center and moving outwards. And I'm going to still just have some yellow on my brush, but I'm going to bring these brush strokes, I still have this medium-sized brush, out a little bit, and then I'm going to start bringing in some orange. I'm gonna bring my orange into my yellow rather than just going with the solid orange right now. So it's kind of like an in-between color. And I'm gonna go around my beautiful sun and sort of in those same spaces. And we're gonna be using these stylized brush strokes to fill in our background. It's gonna be a little time consuming. This is another one of those paintings that looks simple, but is deceptively complex. So keep your expectations where they need to be. Give yourself time and grace here. Working around the sun, the more you push down on your brush, the thicker your brush stroke is gonna be. So once I've blended my yellow and my orange, my yellow orange, I'm going to then grab some orange on its own. And I'm not rinsing my brush in between because I want my colors to blend a little bit. Working my way outwards with these colors, and I can add a little bit in later too of some more stylized brush strokes. And we can wait for our first layer to dry, or you can kind of add them as you go, and you'll get some nice wet on wet blending though. So you gotta let things dry in order to add another layer. But right now we can do some blending. So that's what we're going for. It's a blend with a brush stroke. Rather than really working it, just laying those brush strokes down. And then we're going to bring the gradation to the next step, which is going to be into red or pink. But I'm gonna start with a sort of peachy color, which is going to be our red blended with orange, red orange. And I have a little bit of white there too. All right, bringing it around. We don't want to go too vibrant with our background colors. Well, I mean, pretty vibrant, but we do want to add a little bit of white to these colors for the background. All right, it's looking pretty good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the peachy pink. I kind of want to do some just regular bright pink. So I'm going to just use red and white together. I'm going to take that right around and sort of over my orangey red. That is still a pretty color. It has its place. But I love me some bright colors, which you can probably tell if you're here painting with me today, and you probably do too if these paintings brought you to my channel. All right, blending all around, working our way from the center out. We're creating a rainbow. It's not going to be a full rainbow, but we are going just through the colors there of the rainbow. Yellow, orange to red. We're just going to omit green from our background. All right, and that was pretty tight work around our circle there. I have a pretty big space left, so I'm going to grab my larger brush for the next two colors, which is going to be purple and blue. So we're going to grab some purple and just do the same thing that we did with our yellow to orange and our orange to red. We're going to blend it into our pink a little bit and then pull the purple a little bit out further. All right, so see how those two blended? And I did use a little bit of an in-between there of a light purple and a light pink mixture. All right, but again, I love those vibrant, true hues. So I'm not over blending. Pretty clean and true to their hue. All right. Got a squeaky floor, less neighborhood noise this week. So I'm filming on a Sunday. Apologize for missing last week. Had a bit of a technical glitch with my filming and then with my computer too. I'm not saying it's because of Mercury retrograde and eclipse season, but it does seem a little suspicious. Figuring things out here in my new place. Going to try to figure out a better mic situation for us. So please bear with my slightly echoey instructions for now. Next step is blue. Just like all of our other colors, and you should have just a little bit of area left for your blue. And we're gonna have a completely filled in canvas when we're done with this step. Remember, it's gonna be deliberately streaky anyway, so I'm kind of getting some blue streaks just with the paint that I have on the brush into the purple section, and I'm not going to go back and blend those out. I'm going to add to them. Streaky gradation. Always a little bit of water in your paint will help your paintbrush from binding up. Get things soaking in nicely to the canvas texture. If you want to, you can add a few brush strokes now too, additionally, of some of our colors. Again, to lean into that streakiness. So especially with the blue. So I'm doing this with my medium-sized brush again. We're using both of these brushes to create today's background. Remember, I paint very quickly because I've been painting all the time since I was like 2 or 3 years old. I've taken a million classes and I've taught a million classes now. And it is something that you get better at with time. So don't feel like you have to keep the exact pace as me. If you ever need to pause, just pause it. Speed up. You get to see what the painting looks like at the end too, which I don't know yet. So you have that advantage. We have the advantage here of the digital format. So you can jump all around and use these videos as you need to. Instant replays, all kinds of great stuff. I'm gonna grab a little bit of purple too and add some nice streaky purple so that I have nice visible brush strokes. And my pink is actually almost dry, so I can go ahead and just pull some purple in there now. So just using all these same colors that I used for my original gradation. Things are already a tiny bit drier for me. That depends on your climate, the climate of your house, and how thickly you use the paint, which is fine. That's all just your style. However much paint you use is totally fine, but it is going to affect your dry time. Okay, so a little bit more vibrant with my streakies. Technical term there. It's a little bit more saturated so that you can see the visible brush strokes. That's looking pretty good. Already a modern masterpiece. I'm gonna grab even some yellow, any color that you laid down that you'll still have on your palette. Just gonna add a few little visible brush strokes. Get it nice and stylized. Which is the fun part, I think. That looks pretty good. Let's add a little bit of orange as well. Leaving that center sun just bright and yellow as it is. All right, looking pretty good. All right. I am fairly pleased with that. Once your background is looking about how you want it to, we are going to step away and let this layer dry completely before we come back and add our whole front layer, which is going to be our tree, our flowers, and our adorable little bird. So let's go ahead and let this layer dry and we'll come back for a whole bunch more. See everyone in a few. Okay, welcome back, artists. We have a dry background and fresh colors on our piece of palette paper. This time we have almost a full rainbow. I have some burnt sienna, some black and white, a little bit of phthalo green, cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, cadmium red, and some more of our cobalt blue. I rinsed my brushes and got some fresh water at break as well. Let's go ahead and jump right back on into things. And I would like to work on our tree now. So I'm gonna grab my medium-sized brush. I might use my slightly smaller size too in a minute, but I'm gonna start by making a beige, which is gonna just be a really simple mixture of brown and white. And I'm going to start with the trunk of the tree. Do 2 little lines next to each other, flaring out at the bottom. And then I'm going to kind of eyeball where I want to go. So my bluebird is going to be singing a song towards the sun, and he needs a branch to sit on. So I'm visually thinking about one that goes up and then down, and then has a little curlicue at the end. And I'm going to go up, down, and a curlicue. I'm going to refine that in a minute with a smaller brush. Because once I got to the end, I was like, it's still a little too thick. And I'm going to do another branch that comes up this direction. And we're going to have some branches that branch off as well. I'm kind of just starting to block those out. but let me grab a smaller brush. Now that we have our basic shape, so our basic shape is 3 main branches. Your tree does not have to be the exact same as mine, but you gotta think again about where your little birdie is gonna sit. So it does need a branch that comes out to your light bright colors here. It's also taking the blue away from the blue background because you're not gonna see your little bird very well blue on blue. Not nearly as well as you'll see on orange and yellow. Blue is actually the opposite of orange on the color wheel, so it'll look really nice to have our birdie, our little blue bird, on top of the orange background and singing towards the yellow sun. All right, cute, cute, cute. And then I'm gonna take this curve, follow it down, and add a little cute curly cue there. And you can add little additional curly cues wherever you like. With your light brown, and just build your own little unique tree. Your painting is not gonna look the same as mine or your neighbor's, and that is okay. Your tree can be unique. Your background, your bird, everything is going to be done in your style, and you can't help it. Okay, and that main branch is looking pretty good. Give some love to some of these other branches now too. Let's do a nice little curly cue coming off of him, and a little curly cue coming off of top guy too. You can use whatever brush you're comfortable with, small or the medium. Small gives you a little bit more control, but medium speeds things up a bit. And it all has to do with how much pressure you're applying to your brush too. So even with your medium brush, you can get pretty thin brush strokes just by not pushing down hard. And you can get really tiny brush strokes with this size by just having the lightest little pressure possible. All right, looking pretty cute. Any other little curly cues that you want to add, feel free. Fluid brush strokes, really good dexterity practice. Okay, cute. Going to add some highlights and shadows now. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white, blend that into my beige, and I'll have a nice light beige as a highlight color. I'm going to come in here and mostly on the top part of these branches, I'm going to add a little quick highlight. All right. And just kind of pull the highlights down the trunk of the tree as well. And there'll be a few brush strokes near each other. So we want a sort of streaky look. We want to see a little bit of your brown background color, base color as well. All right. Much better than just one color. Gotta add our highlights, and then we also gotta add some shadows. So, same idea. I'm going to grab a little bit of dark brown. I think I'm even going to sneak a little bit of black into it. And for this main branch, I'm going to take a little swipe of this dark color right along the top. We want a nice, clean, line of separation where our bird is going to sit. Okay, if you get too heavy-handed with any of these colors, you can add some more of your base beige right back on top. And I'm going to take a little bit of a swipe through each of my curly cues. I'm going to focus mainly on the bottom part. So I do have both for this area. But once we go down our little swirlies, we're just gonna go down one side. All right, and I'm going to go down both sides of my trunk though. So it's sort of like an outline, sort of like a shadow. Very cute. Just so much more depth to our tree with our highlights and shadows, even just adding one color of each, getting some nice wet on wet blending. I almost just put my brush in my coffee cup. Off the screen. Be careful. You think, oh, I'm not going to confuse it. But then you get in painting mode, zone out a little. Be careful. Let me know in the comment section if you've ever put your paintbrush in your coffee cup or whatever you're drinking. All right. Little bit of shadow on the whole tree, every area. And then our tree is going to be looking pretty good. So we're going to let it dry for a minute. And we're going to go down here and add some grass. So I'm going to be working with the same brush. Still our second to smallest guy here, detailed brush. And I'm going to mix up a grass green with phthalo green and yellow. Phthalo green is a very unique tone of color, or paint color, hue color, pigment, one of those words. And it has a little bit of blue in it. And that's one of the reasons why I love it, because when you mix white on its own, it turns a really gorgeous turquoise color. But for grassy situations, we want to add a little bit of yellow to counteract that blue. And I'm going to come down to the bottom part of my painting, and I'm going to go all the way across with little blades of grass. We want to have plenty of grass, okay? Not just a little tuft or a thin lawn. We want to have a vibrant, lush lawn, attracting those beautiful birds and butterflies. We're going to go all the way across, varying the size of the brush strokes. Okay, so some are going to be tall, some are going to be a little short, and they're going to be going one way or the other. And we want to make it sort of random rather than establishing a pattern. So it doesn't mean it has to be crisscross, crisscross. It can be kind of like, you know, a couple going this way, maybe one going across, one going this way again, however you like. Keeping it random, but lush, full, lots of grass in our garden. And we're gonna go right over the tree, and hopefully your tree is dry enough. If not, just be very careful not to blend it too much. You can always touch things up a little bit later, most likely with just a little second coat of green. Totally fine. That's another note. So again, of course, this is paint along with Skye, but it's also sort of customize your experience with Skye. So if you ever need to jump around and add a little color here or there, that is your artistic liberty to do so. This is an experience with you and yourself as well. All right, and I think I want to add like a few slightly longer blades here and there too, just to get it nice and varied. All right. And then guess what we're gonna do in our grass? We're gonna add highlights and shadows. That's what it's all about, everybody. And really you could add them in whatever order you like. Highlights, shadows, shadows, highlights. Each artist will have a different take on that. I like to start typically with highlights. So I'm going to just add a little bit more yellow and some white. And then I'm going to go right over those same blades of grass, most of them, or all of them, but kind of varying the pressure with my brush too, so that I get really thin brush strokes on some. And then I'm going back into my paint every few brush strokes, and I'm allowing a little bit of blending to happen. That's another reason why going quick is kind of important with acrylic painting. You want to take your time, but not too much. And I also find that if you try to do really slow brush strokes, a lot of times they end up kind of sloppier than if you were to do it quick. And you feel very artistic to do the quick brush strokes. All right, so we can see how much depth that's added to our grass. So simple. Let's add another color. This time it's going to be a shadow, and I'm mixing in some more of my phthalo green and a little bit of black as well. And this will add another additional nice tone, and I'm going over a few, adding this shadow to a few. It doesn't have to be a clear stripe on either side. All right, as much as it's just breaking things up a little bit, adding some interest, adding some depth, building your own little grass forest. All right, and just kind of working your way across the whole bottom part. Cute. All right, looks great. So final touches now, really. And I think the cutest part. So we've done a lot of work. So give yourself a pat on the back if you've made it this far. And we're going to jump back into our tree now and add our adorable little bird. And then we'll come back into our little grass area and add some flowers as our little piece de la resistance. It's really going to set the scene, tell the story here of our early bird on a beautiful spring morning. All right, so this bird shape is actually pretty simple and I think really adorable. Might add birds like this in future paintings too. So I'm of course going to use blue for my bluebird, and I'm still using that same second to smallest brush for this step. All right, and I've got to think about where I want to position my little bird. And I could put him way out here, but then he's not really seen towards the sun. So I want to position him so that his little face is going to be like singing his little song towards the sunrise. So right, like maybe like ½ inch up from my branch, I'm gonna do a little teardrop shape, and his head is gonna be like the front of the teardrop. Okay, very cute little shape. And my first pass doesn't need to be the final shape. So then you can kind of adjust it a little bit if you need to. Making mine a little bit bigger. And I want to make sure that it's a little bit more slanted on this top side, so that we're actually coming up to create his little head. Trying to get a nice, clean, sort of half circle shape up at the top part. Okay, that's about right. Every little birdie is going to look a little different, and that's okay. Just make sure he's floating above the branch a little bit. Then I'm going to grab some of my dark brown and give him legs to stand on. So one little line And a second one. And I actually want them to be about the same thickness. Cute. All right. And let's grab our smaller brushes. Teeny tiniest little brush. And with some blue, I'm going to add some little teardrops that are also sort of floating. I guess they're more just ovals. And the little trio there for his tail. So adorable. Then I'm going to rinse my brush, and with a little bit of orange, I'm going to do a little beak, which should hopefully be right in front of your son if you've positioned him correctly. If it's close, then that's fine too. Super cute. And then let's see here. I think I want my slightly bigger brush for a little bit of a shadow of his wing. I'm gonna grab a slightly darker blue. So I have more of my cobalt plus a little bit of black. So I have like a dark navy blue. I'm gonna do a little curved line like so, and then a little sort of teardrop shape as well, right underneath. Pretty cute. All right, and then we can do a few little added details around our cute little bird. I'm gonna grab my tiniest brush and outline his beak. Apologize for the building noises. I tried to film on a Sunday, but that might actually be worse because everybody's home. All right. And we are going to outline our whole bird, and it's up to you whether you want to use your teeny tiny brush or the slightly larger one. We don't use our tiny brush very often, so sometimes it's nice to. It's hard for me to speak and also get a clean line. So excuse me for sort of having disjointed thoughts here, doing detail work. And I'm going to outline these tiny little blue teardrops as well. Adds to the sort of illustrator-y look to our bird, I think. Looks pretty cute. And I'll add some black to his feet too, since we're just going around with black. Might as well. I'm going to refine this a little bit. And I know I block with my hand too, I'm sorry. You can still see it coming together. And I've added it up in the corner for you guys too. That was a request. And I think it adds to it, so good idea there. Fairly simple addition. I am a one-woman show, so with limited camera skills, it's really my challenge. All right, and then we are gonna add some highlights to our little birdie, but I want them to be fairly clean. So I'm gonna wait just a second, and I'm gonna work down here in the bottom layer again. And we're gonna add some flowers, and these can be however and wherever you like. I'm gonna add some daisies. I have my medium-sized brush, or excuse me, my second to smallest. And the way that I like to do daisies is starting with a little kind of 4-directional plus sign. And then I'll add brush strokes in between those. And brush strokes in between those. And they don't need to be perfect. Again, we're moving sort of quickly to force us to create a sort of natural style. And I'm just gonna add a few daisies And then I'm gonna add a few tulips. This was very spring inspired, again, but like this early spring that we're in right now, at least I am at my climate and altitude. Blending a little bit with the green, which I didn't want. So make sure that you're almost fully dry at least. Down with your grass before adding your petals, your flowers. It's easily coverable though too. White has pretty good coverage power. Starting with the petals, then I'm going to add a few tulips. Tulips can be whatever color you like. As well, I'm going to add some orange and also some pink. And again, these can be however you like. I'm going to add two little oval shapes right next to each other. And you'll get like a very elongated heart shape. And since we're doing like the stylized tree and the stylized bird and the stylized sunrise, I figured we'd do cutesy little stylized tulips as well. Okay, and I'm just trying to get good coverage here. Don't want to see too much from behind. We want to see a lot of just vibrant, solid color for our flowers. Very nice. And then I'm going to add pink tulip as well. All right, a little bit lighter, I think. Wherever you like, it feels right in your garden. And however many you end up with is fine. They can be slightly different sizes. Okay, that looks great. Now I think each flower will need a stem, of course. So I'm just gonna rinse my brush and grab some green, some more of my grassy green, and connect each flower to the ground, or make it logically connect with an existing blade of grass is okay too. Cute. Coming together. All right, and then I'm gonna try to find a little bit of clean yellow. Things are getting pretty cramped here on my palette towards the end. But I want to add little yellow circles to the middle of my daisies. All right, and then just some highlights and shadows on our beautiful flowers. All right, let's do a little bit of a highlight color. I'm trying to find space here. So I want a really light kind of sherbety orange. And it's pretty subtle, just a few brush strokes. Oh, we don't need that. We only have two orange guys. And then we'll add a little bit of a pink highlight. Nice. Cute, cute. And then we are actually going to grab some black and do a quick outline of our tulips, but I'm not going to even worry that much about it being a logical outline. And same with the daisies. Just gonna kind of wiggle my way around. And it's going to be a little stylized. And then we can add a few little shadows in some of our grass blades as well as a final little darkest black step. Just got a drip there. So I'm gonna work with it. All right. Okay, so that's a good example there. My orange one was a little funky. but that's okay. A little bit of a disjointed outline here adds to that sort of chaotic spring garden vibe that I was thinking we would go for. And you can do a little brush stroke inside your flowers as well. I like them. Stylized is the name of the game today. But I've had a lot of great feedback on paintings that I have like this. Some of my most popular ones have been like the dragonfly, and then I have a really cute one with a campfire and the moon. And you guys have been giving me a lot of great feedback on those and asking for more paintings like them. So I came up with this early bird idea this week. I myself am an early bird. Insufferable morning person. All right, cute. I want to do a shadow around the center part of my daisy, but I don't think I want to do it with black. So I'm going to do it with orange instead. Just to add a little depth to our daisies. I feel like the center might need a little bit of clean yellow additionally too. So I don't want to see through. That looks better. All right, and then our final little bird steps. It's gonna be pretty simple and just finish off the painting. I'm gonna grab a little bit of very light sky blue. And I'm gonna do a quick little swipe highlight in his wing up top here towards his head. A little bit all over, sort of accentuating the curves of our bird. And then he needs a little eye. I'm gonna use the back of my brush for this. And you can take a couple little tests so you can see it makes a nice little circle. And it even has a little bit of tactile depth to it. Touchable. I'm gonna put a little eye right next to the beak, kind of along the top part there. And then let's grab our tiny, tiny brush for the musical notes. And I'm just gonna add a couple little music notes. It's been a long time since I studied music theory. Quarter note, pretty sure these guys are, where it's like a little pi sign almost, and then two little ovals at the bottom. I'm just adding notes that I think look cute. This one has a flag. I forget what the flags mean. I played piano for many years, but I played by ear, much to the chagrin of my mother and teacher. The teacher a little bit more supportive of it. I should have learned theory though. But anyway, I forget what the ones with the flags are called. Let me know in the comments if you remember, and let me know what you thought of today's painting, because we are at the end. And I would love to see your work. I've created a Facebook group called the Art Club, where you can post your paintings so that I can see it and other people that are painting along can check it out. It's a really amazing group of people, very supportive, and it's the best part of my day, really, to see you guys enjoying yourselves and see all the places that these paintings go to. So I absolutely love seeing your work. Please make sure to join us over there. It's free to join. And that is all the instruction that I have for us this week. So I hope you enjoyed. Happy springtime, happy painting, and until next time, stay creative.